On our website, you can get PDF learning materials for free. Please visit englist.me.
Trek.
A long and difficult journey, typically on foot.
Examples:
Horseback trek. Trek expedition. He was preparing for a long trek through the mountains.
Endless.
Having no end or conclusion, infinitely very large in size or amount.
Examples:
Endless possibilities. Endless hours. He looked out the window at the endless stream of people.
Desert.
Arid land with little or no vegetation, often covered with sand or rocks.
Examples:
Desert basin. Oasis in the desert. This region is predominantly desert.
Tight.
Fixed, fastened, or kept together firmly or closely.
Examples:
A tight game. Student on a tight budget. The national election was held amid tight security.
Suit.
A set of clothes that are made from the same material, a claim or complaint that a person or organization can file in court against another party. Verb, to be fit or acceptable for.
Examples:
Suit and tie restaurant. Suit at law. 6 suits are awaiting trial or verdict.
Dissipate.
To disperse or scatter widely.
Examples:
Dissipate heat. Dissipate stress. The fog dissipated and the air cleared up.
Recycle.
To sort and collect things to process them and produce valuable materials that can be used again.
Examples:
Recycle the cardboard boxes. Recycle milk packaging into new paper. We largely recycle the circuit board of cell phones because they contain a lot of valuable metals.
Moisture.
Small amounts of liquid, especially water, that are present in or absorbed by a substance.
Examples:
Moisture level. Lot of moisture. My hair looks greasy because there is too much moisture in the air.
Thirst.
A feeling of needing something to drink, a strong desire for something.
Examples:
A burning thirst. Thirst for authority. He read books to quench his thirst for knowledge.
Rhythm.
A strong, regular, repeated pattern of sounds, words, or musical notes that are used in music, poetry, and dancing.
Examples:
In samba rhythm. Irregular heart rhythm. He beat out a jazz rhythm on the cajones.
Vibration.
A continuous, quick, and slight shaking movement.
Examples:
Protection against vibration. Sympathetic vibration. Vibration displaced part of the mechanism.
Footstep.
A step, or the sound generated by a person walking when their foot hits the ground.
Examples:
Footsteps in the corridor. Approaching footsteps. The sound of oncoming footsteps grew louder, closer.
Blend.
To mix or combine two or more substances.
Examples:
Blend all the elements. Blend milk and cream. The toad altered its appearance to better blend in with its new environments.
Shifting.
Constantly changing or moving.
Examples:
Shifting balance. Continuously shifting landscape. Trends in the fashion industry are so shifting that it is challenging to keep up with them.
Sand.
Finely granulated particles of rock or mineral material, typically found along beaches, deserts, or riverbeds, used in construction, landscaping, and other applications requiring drainage or abrasive action.
Examples:
Sand dunes. Sand castle. The sand on the beach was warm and golden.
Drown.
To die or cause to die by being unable to breathe underwater.
Examples:
Drown in a bath. I was drowned in work. Floods have the potential to drown any subsurface animals easily.
Hiss.
To make a sound similar to a sharp exhalation or steam escaping under pressure, often expressing disapproval, anger, or fear. To produce a sound that is shrill and prolonged, often resembling the hissing of a snake. Noun, a sound or noise made by a person or animal, characterized by a sharp, prolonged S sound.
Examples:
Hiss warningly at the intruder. The hiss of a snake. The cat arched its back and hissed at the approaching dog.
Mound.
A raised area of ground or dirt, often used for burial, construction, or as a fortification, a large, rounded pile or heap.
Examples:
Mound of dirt. Burial mound. The team discovered a hidden mound in the desert.
Gait.
A person's manner of walking, running, or moving on foot, a particular pattern or style of movement or locomotion.
Examples:
Awkward gait. Brisk gait. The older woman's gait was slow and unsteady.
Sprint.
To run at full speed over a short distance or period of time.
Examples:
Sprint for a bus. Sprint towards the finish line. Top athletes can sprint 100 meters in less than 10 seconds.
Clamber.
To climb or move in an awkward, laborious, or ungraceful way, often using one's hands and feet.
Examples:
Clamber up the ladder. Clamber over a boulder. I had to clamber over the rocks to reach the cave.
Sandworm.
A type of burrowing worm found in sandy or muddy areas, widely used as bait in fishing.
Examples:
Sandworm bait. Sandworm fishing. During our trip to the beach, we discovered numerous sandworm burrows near the water's edge.
Frank.
Honest and sincere, open and candid in expression.
Examples:
Frank and open discussion. Make a frank apology. Full involvement means frank and prompt responses.
Fling.
To throw or push something or someone with force or recklessness, especially because you are angry.
Examples:
Fling a stream of abuse. Fling a door open forcefully. He was provoked to fling the draft on the floor.
Giant.
Extremely big, much bigger or more important than similar items usually are.
Examples:
Giant trees. Giant tech company. The giant jets that gradually dominate the world's airlines.
Feudal.
Relating to a system of government in which a lord has certain rights and responsibilities to vassals in exchange for military service or other services that developed in Europe in the 8th century.
Examples:
A feudal lord. Feudal dictatorship. Lords and serfs characterized the feudal system of medieval Europe.
Empire.
A group of countries ruled by one leader or government.
Examples:
Empire building. Empire of the Maya. He has built a thriving e-commerce empire.
Medieval.
Relating to or belonging to the Middle Age, that is for the period of A.D. 600 to AD 1450.
Examples:
Medieval times. Medieval history. Only the medieval tower remained standing.
Motif.
A recurring element in an artistic or literary work, typically a particular image or idea, a theme that is repeated or elaborated in a piece of music.
Examples:
Animal motif. The motif of a music piece. The repeating floral motif in the wallpaper added a touch of elegance to the room.
Government.
The group of people with authority to control a country or state.
Examples:
Government bureaucracy. Government funding. The federal government is planning to increase taxes for the next fiscal year.
Interstellar.
Relating to or located in the space between stars.
Examples:
Interstellar communication. Interstellar space. The interstellar medium comprises gas, dust, and cosmic rays that fill the space between stars.
Sci-fi.
Informal for science fiction, a genre of speculative fiction, typically deals with space travel, life on other planets, time travel, etc.
Examples:
A sci-fi movie. Avid sci-fi fan. He is a gadget buff and sci-fi enthusiast.
Conquer.
To bring under control by force or authority.
Examples:
Conquer fatal disease. Conquer the world. You must conquer your anxiety about driving.
Ancient.
Relating to the long ago, particularly the historical period preceding the fall of the Western Roman Empire, very old.
Examples:
Pre-Christian ancient. Ancient stories. They have been living near water since ancient times.
Forbidden.
Not permitted or allowed by rules or laws.
Examples:
Forbidden words. Forbidden love. Taking photographs inside the museum is forbidden.
Construct.
To build or create something, to assemble or combine different parts to form something whole.
Examples:
Construct a 3D image. Construct a dam. He constructs hypotheses that no mathematician has ever imagined before.
Stifle.
To suppress or restrain something, particularly a feeling, emotion, or action, to suffocate or prevent proper breathing or ventilation.
Examples:
Stifle a laugh. Stifle creativity. The oppressive regime tried to stifle free speech and dissent.
Expansion.
The process of becoming larger or more extensive, or the result of this process.
Examples:
Industrial expansion. Expansion project. The company is undergoing an expansion, opening new locations in several states.
Edict.
An official order or command issued by a ruler or government, a formal or authoritative proclamation.
Examples:
Religious edict. Royal edict. The edict issued by the king had to be obeyed by all his subjects.
Evolve.
To develop gradually, or to cause the development of something or someone gradually.
Examples:
Evolve. Evolve over the past decade. Eyeless fish evolved in dark caves.
Startling.
Extremely surprising, astonishing, and sometimes worrying.
Examples:
startling earthquake shocks, startling discovery. He describes the story with startling reality.
Biology.
The scientific study of life and the natural processes of living things.
Examples:
evolutionary biology, cell and molecular biology. In junior high school, we had to dissect a frog in biology class.
Psychic.
Relating to or capable of extrasensory perception or paranormal phenomena, relating to the mind or mental processes.
Examples:
psychic intuition, psychic reading. She claimed to have psychic powers and could predict the future.
Witch.
A person, typically a woman, who is believed to have magic powers and practices witchcraft.
Examples:
witch hunt, witch trial. Many people in the medieval period believed in witches and their ability to cast spells.
Prescient.
Having or showing knowledge of events or situations before they occur, foreknowing or prophetic.
Examples:
prescient dream, prescient vision. The prescient investor predicted the market crash and sold his stocks before it happened.
Pilot.
A person who flies an aircraft, especially as a job, a person qualified to guide ships through a difficult area of water.
Examples:
a test pilot, pilot production. The pilot exercised great care in landing.
Regularly.
At regular intervals or times.
Examples:
regularly arranged, post regularly to a blog. This site regularly shares high-quality academic materials.
Employ.
To give somebody a job and pay them for it, to make use of.
Examples:
employ job seekers, employ a new method. When making arrests, police officers frequently employ excessive force.
Noble.
Having or showing excellent personal qualities or high moral principles that people admire.
Examples:
a noble family, noble gas. He is a noble-minded man.
Compete.
To strive to achieve more success than someone or something.
Examples:
compete against a friend, compete fiercely. You must compete with others to obtain this position.
Planet.
Any of the 9 large celestial bodies that circle in the solar system, any celestial body that revolves around a star.
Examples:
planet like the Earth, save the planet. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun.
Kingdom.
The country ruled by a king or queen.
Examples:
Establish his kingdom. A subordinate kingdom. By remaining neutral, this kingdom continued to exist.
Writ.
A written legal order or command.
Examples:
A writ of summons. Issue a writ. He was served with a writ of eviction, giving him the notice to vacate the property.
Superhuman.
Possessing abilities or characteristics that exceed those of normal humans, beyond human capacity or capability.
Examples:
Superhuman beings. Superhuman effort. The athlete's superhuman strength allowed him to lift twice his body weight.
Rely.
To require a certain thing or the assistance and support of someone or something in order to continue, run properly, or succeed.
Examples:
Rely on convenience stores. Rely entirely on him. Babies heavily rely on others for food.
Precious.
Uncommon and extremely valuable.
Examples:
Price of precious metals. Precious information. We cannot afford to squander precious time.
Spice.
A dried seed, fruit, root, bark, or vegetable substance primarily used to season or flavor food.
Examples:
Spice recipe. Spice flavor. He added a pinch of spice to the stew to flavor it.
Mystical.
Relating to or characterized by spiritual powers, beyond ordinary understanding.
Examples:
Mystical intuition. Mystical belief. While meditating, he had a mystical experience and felt a sense of unity with the universe.
Crop.
A plant that is cultivated in large amounts, particularly for food.
Examples:
Crop field. Crop herbicide. Sow early for an early crop.
Melange.
A mixture or medley of different elements, often with subtle or contrasting differences.
Examples:
Melange of flavors. Seafood melange. The artist created a beautiful painting using a melange of colors and styles.
Essential.
Indispensable, fundamental.
Examples:
Essential amino acid. Essential commodities of life. Trial and error is an essential part of education.
Cornerstone.
A fundamental or essential element or component of something, a basis or foundation upon which something is built or developed.
Examples:
Cornerstone of democracy. Lay the cornerstone. Effective communication is often considered the cornerstone of a successful team.
Galactic.
Relating to or concerning the galaxy or galaxies, having characteristics or qualities that are vast, extensive, or cosmic in scope.
Examples:
Galactic scale. A galactic system. The Milky Way is a galactic collection of billions of stars and planets.
Economy.
The system by which a country or region produces, manages, and distributes goods and services, including the money and finances involved in these activities, of an airline, the lowest priced, most basic option for seating in commercial travel.
Examples:
Economy of scale. Economy class. The economy of the country is struggling due to the recent political instability.
Inhospitable.
Harsh and difficult to stay in or grow, unfriendly and unwelcoming towards people who visit you.
Examples:
Inhospitable environment. In an inhospitable manner. He trekked across some of the most inhospitable mountains in the world.
Native.
Connecting with or describing someone's birth country or place of birth, or someone born in a specific country or place.
Examples:
Native to Africa. Native language. The vegetation here is almost wholly native.
Inhabitant.
A person or an animal that lives in a particular place.
Examples:
The early inhabitants of Europe. Inhabitant tax. His family is the oldest inhabitant of the island.
Rebel.
Someone who resists or opposes authority or control, especially by fighting against it.
Examples:
Rebel uprising. Group of rebels. The rebels fought against the government for their independence.
Novel.
An extended fictional work in prose, usually in the form of a story. Adjective, original and of a kind not seen before.
Examples:
Historical novel. Novel effect. The novel has largely gotten positive feedback.
Assign.
To give a specific job or piece of work to a someone.
Examples:
Assign projects. Assign top priority. Please assign a different color to each other kind of item.
Elaborate.
Containing a lot of carefully prepared and organized or many complicated and detailed parts.
Examples:
An elaborate hat. Elaborate Ponzi scheme. He proposed an elaborate program of public works.
Plot.
A secret plan or scheme to achieve a specific goal, The plan or main story of a literary work. Verb, to plan secretly, usually something illegal.
Examples:
Plot line. Plot a surprise attack. The plot of the novel centers around a group of friends who uncover a conspiracy to control the world's water supply.
Swear.
To make a solemn promise or vow, to use rude or offensive language.
Examples:
Swear an oath. Swear a blue streak. I swear I didn't mean to break your vase.
Sadistic.
Deriving pleasure from inflicting pain, suffering, or humiliation on others, cruel and brutal in a way that causes others to suffer.
Examples:
Sadistic pleasure. Sadistic behavior. The sadistic character in the movie enjoyed inflicting pain on others for pleasure.
Slave.
A person who is either legally or illegally owned by someone, a person entirely dominated by some influence or a person.
Examples:
A slave of drink. A slave trader. You should work hard but not be a slave to it.
Conflict.
A strong disagreement, argument, or a violent clash between two opposing groups or individuals.
Examples:
The conflict between good and evil. The long-standing conflict. He and I often had conflicts, not only in personality, but also in ideology.
Upend.
To turn or flip over, to overthrow or upset the established order.
Examples:
Upend a table. Upend a tradition. The sudden news upended their plans for the weekend.
Balance.
A condition in which everything has the same weight or force, something left after other parts have been taken away.
Examples:
The balance of power. Asset on the company's balance sheet. Try to keep a balance between work and off.
Catapult.
A device used to hurl an object a long distance.
Examples:
Powerful catapult. Catapult mechanism. The army used a catapult to launch large rocks over the castle walls.
Revolution.
A large-scale attempt to overthrow the government of a country, often using violence or war.
Examples:
Beginning of the Industrial Revolution. A political revolution. The revolution by the citizen resulted in a redistribution of wealth.
Survive.
To live or exist despite a dangerous event or period.
Examples:
Survive a blizzard. Survive a plane crash. These birds can only survive in temperate climates.
Hostile.
Unfriendly or aggressively opposed.
Examples:
Take up a hostile attitude. Hostile environment. The hostile takeover of the company was met with resistance from the employees.
Avid.
Characterized by enthusiasm and vigorous pursuit, especially of an interest or activity.
Examples:
Avid baseball fan. Have avid eyes. She was an avid reader and spent hours every day lost in a book.
Environmentalist.
A person who is concerned with and advocates for the protection of the natural environment.
Examples:
Dedicated environmentalist. An environmentalist political party. The environmentalist lobby changed the mindset of many conservative politicians.
Complexity.
The state or quality of being complicated or intricate and difficult to understand.
Examples:
Cognitive complexity. Complexity theory. The project's complexity made it difficult for the team to complete it on time.
Ecosystem.
All the plants and living creatures in an area and the way they affect each other and the environment.
Examples:
Marine ecosystem. Change the ecosystem. Human conservation efforts often fail unexpectedly because they disturb the balance of the ecosystem.
Climate.
The weather in a particular location averaged over some long period.
Examples:
A cold climate. Effects of climate change. Climate and weather have an impact on every part of our lifestyles.
Belt.
To sing loudly and forcefully, to hit someone or something hard. Noun, a strip of leather or other material worn to tie or buckle something around the body.
Examples:
Belt him in the face. Leather belt. The band was belting out old songs in response to audience requests.
Tunnel.
An underground or underwater passage, typically for trains or cars.
Examples:
Tunnel construction work. Tunnel disease. The workers had to dig through solid rock to create the vehicular tunnel, allowing the cars to pass through the mountain.
Rocky.
Full of or abounding in rocks, of, relating to, or made of rock.
Examples:
Rocky terrain. Rocky relationship. The rocky road made it difficult to drive on.
Topography.
The arrangement and physical features of a particular area or region, including its natural and artificial elements and their relative positions and elevations. The study or description of this arrangement and these features.
Examples:
Topography map. Detailed topography. The topography of the region is rugged, with many hills and valleys.
Temperate.
Mild or moderate in temperature or climate, exhibiting self-restraint, particularly about the consumption of food, drink, or other indulgences, showing moderation or restraint in behavior or attitude.
Examples:
Temperate grassland. Temperate behavior. The temperate climate of the region made it an ideal vacation spot.
Zone.
A specific area, region, or section that is marked off or defined in some way.
Examples:
Time zone. Zone defense. He was reluctant to leave his comfort zone and try something new.
Vary.
To become different in terms of size, shape, etc.
Examples:
Vary according to the age. Vary directly with the price. Maximum heart rates vary a lot for each individual.
Flora.
All the plants in a particular region or time, typically regarded as a whole.
Examples:
Bowel flora. Aquatic flora. The Amazon rainforest is home to a diverse flora of plant species.
Export.
To send goods or services to another country for sale, to transfer electronic data out of a database or document in a format that other programs can use.
Examples:
Export goods. Export the data. The country exports a large amount of agricultural products.
Philosophy.
The study of general and fundamental questions, such as those about existence, reason, knowledge, values, mind.
Examples:
Philosophy of education. Western philosophy. Ethics is a branch of philosophy.
Religion.
A deep conviction in a supernatural power that controls human destiny.
Examples:
Religion sociology. Freedom of religion. Their religion strictly prohibits them from drinking or gambling.
Cult.
A small religious group, especially one that is not part of a larger religion and that is regarded as outside the norm, followers of an exclusive system of beliefs and practices.
Examples:
Cult members. Cult's practices. The cult leader promised his followers that they would achieve enlightenment if they followed his teachings.
Mysterious.
Difficult to understand, explain, or identify, having an aura of secrecy, intrigue, or puzzlement.
Examples:
Mysterious object. Mysterious stranger. The mysterious disappearance of the ship remains unsolved.
Shadow.
A dark area or shape cast by an object blocking the passage of light, an area in darkness or shade, a reflected image or copy of something, a person, activity, or influence that follows or accompanies someone or something closely and persistently, often in a secretive or ominous manner.
Examples:
Shadow cast, shadow puppetry. The tree cast a shadow over the picnic area, providing relief from the sun.
Millennium.
A span of 1,000 years, or the 1,000th anniversary, plural, millennia.
Examples:
Past millennium, millennium bottle of wine. Our world is in the third millennium.
Enlightenment.
Education that results in understanding and the spread of knowledge.
Examples:
Spiritual enlightenment, enlightenment activity. He finally brought his enlightenment to perfection.
Similarly.
In almost the same way.
Examples:
Similarly situated, have similarly great abilities. We argue that wages for temporary workers should similarly rise.
Process.
A series of actions or operations performed to achieve a particular outcome or goal, a systematic procedure or approach used to accomplish a specific task or objective, a method of treating milk to make it suitable for consumption or use in other dairy products.
Examples:
Process improvement, decision-making process. The process for applying for a visa can be lengthy and complicated.
Incredible.
Unbelievable, extremely large.
Examples:
Incredible amount, at incredible speed. Her response revealed incredible idiocy.
Bastion.
A strong fortress or a stronghold that defends or protects.
Examples:
Bastion of good sense, a bastion against corruption. The ancient fortification served as a bastion of defense against invaders for centuries.
Logic.
A way of thinking or reasoning conducted or evaluated by strict validity principles, the study of correct reasoning or good arguments.
Examples:
An indisputable logic, a demonstration in logic. There's no logic in his description.
Mere.
Used to emphasize how insignificant or minor someone or something is.
Examples:
Mere acquaintance, mere incident. He lost the election by mere votes.
Calculation.
The act or process of using numbers to judge an amount of something.
Examples:
Make a calculation. Calculation of loss and gain. The error in the calculation was attributable to rounding.
Stream.
A small, narrow river, a continuous flow of something, such as liquid, gas, people, vehicles, etc.
Examples:
The stream of time. An endless stream of cars. Jet streams are the common name for air currents that form high in the atmosphere.
Constantly.
All the time.
Examples:
A constantly innovative enterprise. A constantly varying mind. The mobile application industry is constantly changing.
Possibility.
A chance that something may happen or be true.
Examples:
Possibility for growth. Possibility of a major earthquake. The possibility of getting the disease will drastically increase.
Exclusive.
Not divided or shared with others.
Examples:
Exclusive authority. Exclusive clubs. The condo offers exclusive access to the beach.
Brotherhood.
A relationship characterized by mutual support, unity, and camaraderie among people who share a common interest.
Examples:
Spirit of brotherhood. Brotherhood among coworkers. The brotherhood between the firefighters was evident in their teamwork and bravery during the blaze.
Trustworthy.
Reliable and dependable.
Examples:
Trustworthy ally. Trustworthy source. People tend to believe trustworthy friends with their secrets.
Increasingly.
More and more.
Examples:
Increasingly become common. Face increasingly complicated challenges. Our company found it increasingly difficult to keep up with the competition.
Pervade.
To spread throughout something, to permeate.
Examples:
Pervade society. Pervade an atmosphere. The smell of baking bread pervaded the kitchen.
Incorporate.
To include something as a part of a larger entity.
Examples:
Incorporate the current trends. Incorporate technology into daily life. We will attempt to incorporate some of your suggestions into our future strategy.
Structure.
The way of construction of something and the arrangement of its parts, or a complex thing constructed of many parts.
Examples:
The structure of a machine. Structure and function of the brain. The organizational structure of startups is often flat and straightforward.
Chapter.
A separate section of a written work usually numbered and titled.
Examples:
An introductory chapter. Chapter of a political party. The final chapter provides a summary of the discussion.
Quote.
To repeat or reproduce the words or statement of someone else, often acknowledging the source. To give an estimated cost or price for goods or services.
Examples.
Quote a source. Quote a price. In his speech, he quoted a famous philosopher to emphasize his point.
Recall.
To remember something.
Examples.
Recall the incident. Recall his name. She vividly recalls getting laid off several years ago.
Unfold.
To open up or spread out something that is folded or rolled up. To reveal or disclose something that was previously hidden or unknown.
Examples.
Unfold the story. Unfold the stroller. The mystery unfolded as the detectives gathered more clues.
Universe.
Everything that exists, especially all physical matter, including planets, stars, galaxies, and all other forms of matter and energy.
Examples.
Theory of the universe. Expansion of the universe. The universe is about 13.8 billion years old.
Appendix.
A small, tube-shaped organ attached to the large intestine in humans and some animals, which is believed to play a role in the immune system and digestion. Supplementary material that is collected and appended at the back of a book.
Examples.
Appendix cancer. Book appendix. The doctor reviewed the patient's medical records to see if they had previously had their appendix removed.
Explore.
To travel to or penetrate an area or a country to learn about it, to thoroughly examine a subject or a possibility to learn more about it.
Examples.
Explore the world. Explore our options. The management must explore strategies to increase office security.
Glossary.
A list of specialized words or terms with their definitions, typically found at the back of a book or document.
Examples.
Comprehensive glossary. Online glossary. We included a glossary of industry terms in our report.
Epic.
A long, heroic poem or story. Adjective, very imposing or impressive.
Examples.
Historical epic. Epic journey. The movie is the heroic epic of a young man's journey to become a warrior and defend his kingdom.
Saga.
A long, detailed story or account of heroic deeds, family history, or notable events, often consisting of a series of connected episodes.
Examples.
Fantasy saga. Historical saga. The epic saga of the family's journey through time captivated readers worldwide.
Span.
The entire length of something, such as time or space from beginning to end, the amount of space that something covers.
Examples:
The span of a bird's wings. The average lifespan. He slightly modified the span of training because it was just before a match.
Pursue.
To do something or attempt to attain something over time, to follow or seek someone or something, especially in trying to catch them.
Examples:
Pursue a goal. Pursue freedoms. She intends to pursue a political career. Verge. The point at which something is about to happen or where something begins, the edge or margin of something, particularly a physical boundary or border.
Examples:
Verge of bankruptcy. On the verge of tears. He stood on the verge of a major discovery.
Consume.
To spend something, especially fuel, energy, or time, in a large amount.
Examples:
Consume a large of alcohol. Consume electricity. A smaller car will consume less fuel. Oncoming. Approaching or moving toward a particular person or place, relating to something that is coming toward the observer.
Examples:
Oncoming traffic. Oncoming disaster. The driver had to swerve to avoid an oncoming car that veered into his lane.